prepared to handle this weekend?
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Why wouldn't we not be prepared? I mean, we might lose the ball game, but that don't mean we weren't prepared. It might just mean they're pretty good. It might be they got a good team and they just beat us. If they do, you shake hands with them and you move on to the next one. I mean, ain't nobody going to skin us and eat us alive, I don't think. It might be if you'd like to. But this is a game. This is a game. That's all it is. It's a tough football game, and you get excited about it. You don't worry about it. You be confident in your preparation, and you be confident in your teammates, and you go play the game. It's really that simple. Understand going in. I mean, some games you got a little bit more margin for error than others. That's just the way it is. This one you don't have a lot, and they don't either. But as far as our guys not being prepared, well, I mean, I don't see that. That's not this team. This team prepares great every week. May not always play great. Sometimes y'all don't write a great article every week. I mean, I'm just saying. Most of the time. But, sometimes you have an off day and you had a typo, misspelled a word, you was a little, you gave credit to that player when it was this player, whatever. We all have a bad day here and there, make a bad play. But, when you're in this type of matchup, there's just, you don't have a lot of room for mistakes. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Last year we had some critical mistakes that cost us, and you don't get any redos. And I think our guys have a really good understanding of how critical each play is, each play. And as long as we play with great effort, and we practice and prepare the right way, then I can live with whatever results we get.
With all the talk of the defenses, the offenses for each team, don't games like this really come down to which team plays the better defense?
Yeah, most of the time. And we weren't very good last year. Man, I had to turn it off. It wasn't pretty. They kind of had their way with us. I think they had almost 670 yards against us, and most of it in the second half. I don't know, 35 points or so in the second half. I mean, it was a tale of two halves. But it was a spark here and a spark there. And then offensively, we had a chance to answer, and we didn't late in the game there. We throw a pick, and we had a critical 3 and out at one juncture. So it's a complete effort by both parts. But there's no doubt defenses, to me, are the key. It's the name of the game is points, and right now you got two very stingy defenses. I mean, I think they're third in the country in scoring defense. We're 10th. This time last year we were 60th after 6 games. So I think we got a better chance. Hopefully we can cut them down to maybe 500 yards. Who knows? We'll hold them down a little bit.
Yeah, but you've talked for weeks about how you saw something changing in the defense, and I'm not sure laymen at the time necessarily saw it. Between then, what you just described, having to turn off a television set because, the yard was piling up against you, and now, what has changed, and when did you start seeing the flickering?
Freshmen became sophomores, sophomores became juniors. We got the same players. Now they were good players then. Now they're good players with experience. That's it. I mean, they've been through the battles. They've grown up. We've got the depth, the experience depth that you need in the key positions. We're much more confident. We're healthy in the secondary. We're more confident in the secondary. We're playing 10 times better than we did this time last year in the secondary. We're still not great, or where we want to be, but we're much, much, much better. We're one of the top teams in the country in interceptions right now. This time last year, I don't think we had maybe 6 sacks, maybe, at the halfway point. And we lead the nation in sacks, lead the nation in tackles for losses. So, we didn't just wave a magic wand. We got the same coaches for the most part. We got one new coach, but our guys are in year 2 with Brent. They have a great understanding of what we're doing, but most importantly, we're just better at what we're doing. We're just better. We play with better pad leverage up front, better understanding, and then guys have gone through. And again, I saw it last half of the season. we made great strides from the half point about this time last year to the end of the season. Great strides. And then it carried over into the bowl game, and so now all of a sudden the confidence, the success, you have a little success, it just continues to breed that confidence. And then we've added a couple of key pieces in here that I think have helped us. So, we're just better. We're just better prepared and better understanding of what we're trying to do defensively, and then just playing with a relentless effort and confidence. And it's been fun to watch.
Knowing that you're going to face adversity at some point Saturday night, having just been in that situation last week where things weren't going your way, and in the fourth quarter you were able to find a way to finish it, can there be some value in that coming into this week's game, knowing that, when our backs are against the wall and we got to make a play, we can do it, having just had to do that?
It's not just last week. I mean, this team has won a bunch of ball games, a bunch of games. We only had 11 seniors last year. So you got a lot of guys back on this football, and only 10 seniors this year. So you got a lot of guys that have been young players. Those 42 freshmen that we had in 2011 have had a lot of experience now, and they're juniors and redshirt sophomores. And, the experience factor is huge. So you draw on all of it. Any great team that I've ever been on, you got to win some tough ones along the way. I mean, just look at college football last week. Just look at what happened in college football. It's hard to win. I know sometimes people think we're supposed to just roll out there and people are supposed to bow down and, oh, you're the number whatever team in the country and game over. It doesn't work that way. I mean, this you're dealing with young people, and Boston College was a very tough. I tried to talk about it all week. This is a physically tough, confident football team that I knew was going to be a dogfight. Now we helped them a little bit because we made some really uncharacteristic mistakes that allowed them to really get that momentum going and that energy. And fortunately, we were able to hold them down defensively, but. Everybody gets tested from time to time, and it wasn't just last week. We've been tested many times, and I think these guys understand that it's a 4-quarter game. When you make mistakes, you move on. You have big plays, you got to keep playing until there's no time left on the clock. But hopefully the overall experience that we have will help us.
Yeah, but to what extent do you think Winston will be tested by your crowd?
Well, I mean, this is a tough place to play for anybody. You've got to have great focus and poise. He certainly has demonstrated that big time. I mean, he's really not shown any. I mean, they got down 17-3 on the road at Boston College. I mean, it wasn't looking real good. Next thing you know, bam, bam, he makes a big play. He just responded. So I think he's a very poised young man. He plays baseball. And, baseball is probably as bad as any sport out there as far as having to have some thick skin. And I think that helps him. But this is a special place, and we're going to need our crowd to definitely be at an all-time high and the best that it's been to try to create that energy that our team needs and also make it difficult for them. Because it is difficult when all that's kind of working against you. And we experienced that last year down there in Tallahassee late in the game when we kind of lit that inferno because it was kind of down the whole game. And all of a sudden it came to life on the long run and then the kick return, and it was, it affected us.
Can a crowd wear a quarterback down? It looked like Chase a little bit last week. He got affected by it. Saw Aaron Murray had some issues with it, with time management, stuff like that.
Well, I think two things. Again, I think the energy that it brings your team, because your team feels that, and it's a game of energy, a game of emotion, and I think that's part of it. And then just the pressing, trying to make a play to kind of quieten them down, the communication part of it. That was an issue for them last week with BC. Had a couple penalties in a row, just communication. It's really hard to especially if you're trying to go on an audible type count.
Corey being the other side of the defensive line from Vic, I'm sure this is an emotional week and game for him. How has he gone about his business over this year and really over the last year and a half?
Corey's been very businesslike. He's a very mature young man, and we've actually made him captain this week, in honor of his mom. And I've been very, very proud of him. He's certainly not perfect, but he's been a great representative of his family and this program since he got here, and he's just been a maturing player. It's good to see him get that big sack last week. He's having a great year. Coming into this year, the big challenge for Corey, he's one of those guys that we were just talking about, to answer your question again. I mean, Corey Crawford last year was a sophomore, and he was a good player, but he wasn't a great player. And we needed to get him to take another step. Well, here's the things we got to do. He needed to be more productive. Tackles for loss, sacks, those type things. And so far this year, he's done that. He's had a much better first half of this season than he did last year. And he's just a developing guy. Marion's done a great job with him, and he's got other good players around him. But I'm really proud of Corey Crawford and the young man that he is, and the type of leadership that he's providing.
What has it meant to the offense that Sammy Watkins playing so well again? Is he going to have to make a couple of big plays to help get you over the top this weekend?
No doubt. I mean, this is the Taj Boyds, the Sammy Watkins, the Bryants, the Humphreys, those cats, they got to make plays. You don't win this game if your playmakers don't make plays. I mean, when we had Spiller here, I think everybody knew going into the game that if Spiller doesn't play well, we can't win. I think it was a couple years, maybe his last year here in 2009. We don't win the game. I think he had 300-something yards. I mean, he was phenomenal. Your playmakers got to make plays. I mean, when the Heat show up, if LeBron don't play, they got not as good a chance to win. That's just the name of the game. Your best players have to play great to win games like this. That's just the pressure that comes with it. Everybody's got a role. Some guys' roles are bigger than others, and that's just part of it. But Taj Boyd's got to play a great game. Our guys up front got to play a great game. Brandon Thomas going to have to play a great game. Sammy Watkins got to do his job. He's got to make plays. He's got to make tough plays. Martavis, Adam Humphreys, Mike Williams. Them guys have got to go and make plays, Seconder, when they get the opportunities. Our backs have got to break tackles. They got to run with great passion and energy. That's the only way you're going to win. Same thing in the Georgia game. We don't win that game if our playmakers don't make plays.
Dabo, I know it's one game, one opponent for you, but how good is that this week maybe the spotlight is on the whole ACC and what this matchup can kind of spread out to everybody else?
Well, that's what we've been wanting, isn't it? I mean, we finally got, they can't talk bad about us now. We got 3 undefeated teams in the top 10. This is what we have not done as a conference. Bottom line, we have not produced a undefeated team, a 12-1 team. We certainly haven't had multiple teams be very consistent in that. That's been from a league standpoint nationwide. We've had good football. We've always had good football here. Very competitive football, a lot of parity in this league, but we haven't produced that dominant team or teams to go and get in that national scene. And it's good to see our league. Like I said, we've got 3 teams in the top 10 right now, and Virginia Tech is really coming on strong. I mean, that's what it takes. You don't all have to be great, but you need 3 or 4 teams that can compete nationally. And listen, the loser of this game is probably going to still be in the top 10 with a half a season to play, and a lot of football and a lot of things and a lot of opportunity from a national standpoint. The loser of this game is going to be against the 8 ball from a division standpoint probably, but anything can happen. But that's just the way it is. Can't do anything about that. But from a national standpoint, we win the game. Florida State ain't going anywhere. I mean, they lost to the number 3 team in the country. It doesn't go our way. I mean, it doesn't mean we're a bad team. Nationally, you still got a chance to maybe get a couple teams in the BCS type picture, and that's what we need if we're going to be that type of conference that I know we are, but be able to get the recognition nationally.
I know you've known him for a long time. Jimbo Fisher, since he took over from Bobby Bowden, what do you think of the job he's done?
He's done a great job. I mean, tremendous job. We've been swapping back and forth for the last few years. As far as winning the division, going to the championship, and all that stuff. They're recruiting at a high level, and they've been very consistent. I mean, they've had their ups and downs too, just like we have. But if you just stand back and you look at the big picture, and they've done a tremendous job. They're getting the key guys in there. You're going out and recruiting guys like Jameis Winston, and the skill guys that they have, and the guys in the trenches, and they believe in what they do. They don't vary from it. I think he's done a great job, a tremendous job.
Dabo, you mentioned Spiller. You brought up Spiller's name a little while ago. How much did his decision to come here and then to stay here kind of lead to, you've always recruited Florida well, but kind of lead to a guy like Sammy really taking a hard look? You getting a McKenzie, Alexander in this last class. How much did that kind of start getting those top flight recruits in Florida?
Well, I've said this many times. When C.J. Spiller chose to come to Clemson, that really changed the game, because that was, kind of put us back in the hunt from a national perspective. And when I first came here, the mentality was we can't sign players like that, and I didn't understand that. That was kind of a shocker to me. I see Clemson, man, this is a great place. Why can't we? And when CJ came here, and then not only came here, but graduated in 3.5 years. Was an All-American, did things that I don't even know how many records he set. 9th pick in the draft, became such a great ambassador for this program. That resonated with a lot of people, and that's been talked about many times over the last several years since he's been gone, and even while he was here in the recruiting process. So he led us to our first division title, and just about led us. He tried everything he could to win that championship game for us, that first one. So he certainly left his mark, and he helped us kind of build a foundation. And not only that, he came back for his senior year. When he chose to come back, my first year as the head coach, that really gave us a lot of credibility, I think.
It's funny. I talked to him the other day, and he said when he left your office before that seat announcing he was coming back, he said you thought for sure he was gone. I
did. I thought he was gone when I walked. I told Tim Bray when I walked in the meeting room. I went to the back of the room. I said, I think he's gone. And then he gets up there and he says he's staying. It was an unbelievable deal. But I think at the end of the day, that's what was in his heart. That was what was in his spirit. And you have to have that type of conviction when you make decisions, if you're going to really truly feel about them. And then when he made that decision, he didn't look back. And he came back here on a mission. He was determined to do great things. He felt like he could be a top 10 pick. He achieved that. He felt like he could lead his team to a higher level than we had ever been. He did that. He felt like he could leave his legacy here. He did that. He wanted to graduate. He did that. Just a special human being. And then I think we got another guy like Taj Boyd that's just like him, and that's also one of the reasons he came back. He had bigger things in his mind, and I'm excited to see him play this weekend.
Florida State lost multiple guys to the draft last year, a couple first round, second round, and so on. And they're still at this point where they are now. Do you think you guys are to that point as well, where maybe even after this year you could lose many guys to the draft, but still have the same kind of success?
We've lost guys to the draft every year, and even guys that are free agents. Most of our guys are sticking. I think we had 7 make it this year out of 11 guys. That's a pretty big percentage of guys leaving your team and sticking at the next level. So, we lose guys every year, and there's no doubt. Listen, we have slowly and methodically built this program over the last 4 years. 5 years ago, right now, I was getting ready to coach my first game against Georgia Tech. And, trying to create that attitude of belief, trying to start building a foundation. So many things that needed to be done, and trying to just start a process and a journey. 5 years later, we're a different. We're not a good. We were a good team in 9. We weren't a good program. We're a good program now. We're not just a good team. We're a good program, and this program is set up to have a lot of success for many years. A couple of years ago, when we won the league, everybody was that was great. That was a great accomplishment. But my message was we've got to have consistent success. We got to go and put 3, 4, 5. really good seasons together. And we came back. That's why last year was so big. We became a consistent performer, and then carrying over this year, trying to cut that that margin down a little bit more, take another step. But the biggest thing is we're set up to sustain success here because of the culture that we have, because of the things that we have in place that I believe with all my heart in that you got to have to be successful. And it's bigger than any player. When Taj Boyd leaves, we're going to have another great player. We have a coach leave, we're going to have another great coach. It's about the program. And I really like where we are from a program standpoint, and I think we're set up to have success consistently. And that's where you got to continue to recruit well, because when you don't recruit well, you have a problem. But Nuke Hopkins left. Mike Williams is going to be pretty good. He's better as a freshman than Nuke was as a freshman. It's not even really close. Now, will he develop the same? We'll see. But I get excited. That's just college football. But I really like our program. I like where we are. I like the things that we have in place. But we got to continue to get better. You can't ever be satisfied. There is no finish line. You got to constantly check yourself. You got to constantly check others, and do a great job in recruiting the right people in here, the right type of character in here, and then having the right type of discipline. If you do that, we got a chance to be consistently successful.
Yeah, when you talk about that circumstance of sort of creating a sustainable program, somebody like Shuey, who didn't have instant success, really hung around. He told me that there were times when he really doubted whether he'd ever be able to really contribute here. What's the value of having somebody sticking around to be a fifth-year guy and sort of see the patience in that?
I mean, we have lots of guys, like that. Our 10 seniors that we have one true senior. The other 9 are redshirt fresh seniors, 5-year guys. Catanzaro, Shuey, Fagenbaum, Quandon Christian, Shatley, Brandon Thomas. Brandon Thomas was a guy that really wasn't a factor here his first couple of years. Kalen Davis, this year's a 4th-year junior. He hadn't really been a huge factor. He's just been a developing guy. Vic Beasley, he wasn't really a factor his first year or so. So that's college football, guy. You get them at 17, 18 years old, and some are more ready than others. Some are mentally more mature than others. But the bottom line is, with our program, if you will stick with it and just keep pushing and handle the adversity, sooner or later, if we're recruiting the right kind of guys in here, they're going to break through. And Shuey's a perfect example of that. Patience, perseverance, not giving up, belief in yourself, and then the most importantly, being ready when your opportunity presents itself. A lot of times guys get opportunities and they're not ready because they've got the wrong attitude. Shuey's always chosen the right attitude, and when he got his chance, he was ready and productive and hadn't looked back.
Spencer's toe.
He's good. He's good. He'll practice today and getting a little bit better each week.
How would you evaluate the consistency of the offensive line? How important is it going to be for them to establish that run game to give you that consistency Saturday night?
Been very, very good at times, very inconsistent at times. It's really been, we've done a lot of good things this year, but we got to get right tackle solidified. I think that, we've got to have a little better rotation there, first of all. Shaq Anthony did a lot of good things last week. He did a lot of good things, but, he hadn't played a lot, and all of a sudden he's playing 80-something plays, and I'm not sure that that's really fair to him. And then Giff has played a ton of football, and all of a sudden he's not getting any snaps. So, we got to balance that out because Giff has won a lot of games for us, and he's kind of getting back now where he feels good. And I think between the two of them, hopefully we can have a little more consistent play there. Same thing with Beasley. Beasley's been a little injured. We got to get him back rolling. Kalen's done really good, but we need David Beasley. He's one of our most physical guys that we have. But again, we've done a lot of good things. We're 6-0. It ain't all bad. Inconsistent at times, very, very good at times. Probably just like any other group out there in the country.
You mentioned
Students camping out, getting ready for this game, waiting for tickets. What is the level of passion and excitement from the students and the fan base mean to you and your program?